And we are back here on SMRN covering a new league, new adventures, and same intro. Let's run that intro. Hey, we're back here on the Ghost Xfinity series. Yeah, something different for us here on SMRN. We are going to be talking about all things Ghost, but their developmental league as we continue forward in a whole new adventure for us. But before we put the cart in front of the horse, let's talk about you and me. My name is Zach, and over here is my buddy David. Say hello to the internet, Dave.
Hello, everyone, and welcome Xfinity Series drivers. Zach and I are super excited to watch a league from the outside in this time and really put our analysis and perspective on these tracks that the drivers are racing as they're following a schedule along with us as we are racing in the Cup Series. So we'll be able to provide maybe some tips and tricks here and there and definitely some insight on how these tracks handle and the differences between the cars.
Yeah, we are super excited to be covering Ghost Series action from the Xfinity side of things. These guys are going to be in a developmental league trying to sharpen their skills here on iRacing, and these guys are going to race the same night, the same time that the Cup guys do for Ghost, but they are going to be in their own different pool. So we're going to take a look at some familiar names, some familiar teams, and yet for you and me, David, and for anybody else watching, this is a totally new crop of guys to cover as they seek to battle it out for the inaugural Ghost Xfinity Series Championship. So let's get right to it as we take a look at our rundown. We've already gone over you and me, and this is the only league that we are going to be covering here on the channel. We are excited to share with you in a little while, perhaps, a new adventure from David and myself, but we'll keep that under wraps for now. Taking a look at the results from Daytona, these guys really did a pretty admirable job for their first time out. So let's take a look here, and David, run us through the first top five of the Xfinity Series season.
Certainly, our first winner of the season, the number 21, Jordan Darnell of Threat Level Midnight Racing Team. Great to see a familiar team up front, but bringing in a new name. Quick rundown of the rest of the top five here. The number 5 of Rob Hattenbeck. The double 0 in third of Joseph Bennett. The number 3 then in fourth of Lucas Whitehead. And the number 33 of Paul Ferdinini. Great to see these guys. It was a close finish. There was a wreck right at the finish line, and Lucas Whitehead led most of the laps this race. And with that wreck at the finish line, just so close to getting on the podium, but Joseph Bennett was just there to beat him out. And what a great race. I can't state enough. We had a little bit of everything, some pit strategies, some drafting partner swap ups during pit cycles. It was fun to watch. Looking forward to talking about the rest of it here with you, Zach, and hearing some of your thoughts.
Well, my thought for the viewers that might be returning to our show is that we see a familiar name here down here in fourth place. David, was it mentioned on the broadcast at all about this particular Whitehead's association with bigger family that we often talk about in our Cup Series coverage?
Sadly, Zach, it wasn't mentioned if Lucas is related to the familiar 3 Whiteheads that we have talked about in the past. Charles Whitehead is now racing down in the Xfinity Series, and Lucas Whitehead and Charles Whitehead were right bumper to bumper for a good portion of this race. So I have a feeling there is a relation there, but we will have to reach out to those drivers and see what that connection is. Definitely looking forward to it. Names that, of course, our viewers are familiar with, that last name Whitehead, those drivers being very good and fast up in our Cup Series. Things to watch for as we head forward through our Xfinity Series here. Um, Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so one of the bigger stories that came out of this Xfinity Series action was the fact that we almost, on the first week of action, got to see a what would have been a unprecedented 1-2-3 team finish at Daytona. Talk to the viewers about what happened on pit road that cost a particular team a shot at glory.
So North South Motorsports, I can't remember which three drivers off the top of my head were quite involved in that, but I know Joseph Bennett was able to get back out on track quickly and make his way back up for a third place finish. But during that first green flag stop, these guys came in together and had a great run getting back out and grabbing the lead and maintaining it all the way up until the second cycle of pit stops came around. When the second cycle came around, one of the North South Motorsports cars coming into pit road, maybe just a little bit too fast, locked the brakes up and started to spin, which then ended up wiping out their teammates, potentially costing them what would have been a close 1-2-3 finish. The second group of cars was catching them at that point, so it's hard to say if they would have easily had that 1-2-3 finish, but I definitely think they had a great shot at it with their showing from the first round of pit stops and then leading that kind of late mid portion of the race.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we go to tracks like Daytona and Talladega, and for a developmental league, one of the hardest things to master from track to track is pit road entry and making sure that you get down from those extremely competitive speeds down to those 55, 45 miles an hour markers that drivers tend to lock up the brakes. They don't think about it to practice and practice, and you wind up having issues like that. These kind of mistakes we're going to see hopefully ironed out throughout the season in this league as these drivers continue to work on their iRacing craft. I'm excited to see how that develops throughout the season. And we move on from Daytona. David, is there any thoughts that you're thinking of in terms of team momentum, driver momentum, as we translate into a new kind of racetrack next week?
The best thing that I could really pull out of this race is early on, drivers were too wide and being fairly aggressive early on in the race, but that leveled out during that midpoint. I
Yeah.
think the drivers learned that you're not winning the race on the first lap. So I hope that drivers carry that forward with this Xfinity League. But as far as picking a driver or picking a team, hey, we're coming from Daytona. There's a huge difference between a super speedway and mile and a halfs and short tracks and all this schedule has to offer that's coming up. I really can't pick a team or a single driver at this point that is going to be dominant this season, but I'm definitely looking forward to finding it out with you, Zach.
Yeah, that's fair. And as we look forward to Las Vegas here in the next week, it is hard for these drivers to change their mentality of, okay, maybe team orders is out the window. I'm done trying to learn how to race with my teammate. I got to get what I can out of the race car to make sure that I manage tires well. Now we're going to talk about different aspects of iRacing that for the newcomer might catch the newcomer by surprise. This isn't console racing anymore. You can't just hold down R2 and go fast. It's that's not how iRacing works. And for a neat league like the Ghost Xfinity series that focuses on especially developmental aspects of a driver, David, how big of a hurdle was it? I know, you and I obviously entered iRacing at the exact same time, but these drivers are going to make a hurdle, right? Going from pedal to the metal track, I don't have to worry about tires, to going to Las Vegas, which is a bit notorious for chewing up tires and spitting them out. And what how big of a hurdle will that be for these drivers that might be new in league action?
understanding how the car handles on maybe some two tire stops, um, compared to Daytona, where we really weren't worried about tires. When you come into Las Vegas, hey, maybe you took a two tire stop at Daytona. Here at Vegas, man, that track eats your tires. Two tires isn't going to do it for you here. We have a mile and a half asphalt, 12 to 20-degree banking, progressive in the turns. There is a lot of space for these drivers to kind of play around, see if they can save
Yeah.
some rubber for later on in the runs. But they have to understand that it's an entirely different track. You're going to be letting off the gas, maybe even tapping the brakes later on in the run through some of these turns. And those tires are going to start wearing out. You're going to get a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have to find a way to manage that on those 12 to 20-degree turns, and then get slowed down for that pit stop and make sure you get those fresh Goodyear tires on your car.
I'm very interested in how these drivers are going to manage restarts, right? So different strategies play out. Maybe you have guys gamble and go, yeah, I want to get up front. I want to lead a lap. I want to be able to get some track position. As different strategies play out, maybe we do see more cautions in this developmental league come Las Vegas. Let's admit, a more driver's track than Daytona. And these guys are going to have to figure out, okay, when that green light turns on, that doesn't necessarily mean go. I got to be patient. Got to make sure that the guy in front of me goes. I'm interested in seeing the restarts next week and seeing if these drivers are going to manage their equipment well there, because Las Vegas, we're definitely going to be talking a bit about this a lot more when we get to the concrete tracks, right, where restarts are really a problem. But just keeping it in mind for worn tire restarts could cause some issues, could cause some spinouts in front of the field.
Absolutely. And this year, iRacing has just recently done an update where the restarts are now in a restart zone. So last year in the Cup Series, we did iRacing controlled restarts. As soon as the green flag flies, everybody starts going. This year, it is driver controlled anywhere in that restart zone. So another thing to look for, maybe some people getting over anxious on the throttle, maybe even the leader getting over anxious on the throttle, heading into that restart zone and spinning some tires, like you said, Zach.
Yeah, and the penalties for the restart zone are very unforgiving. If you go early, like if you jump the leader even by a little bit, it's going to give you a penalty. If you're the leader and you get anxious and you go before the restart zone, you're going to get a penalty. So these drivers are really going to have to put that in perspective as they move towards Las Vegas. David, any thoughts from week one going into week two as we close up our first action of the Xfinity series for Ghost?
I just want to wish the best of luck to all of our Xfinity Series drivers and say it's a long season. If you didn't do great here at Daytona this last week, that's okay. There's plenty of races to come. For those drivers that did finish well here at Daytona this last week, make sure that you carry that momentum forward, really focus on these tracks that we have coming up, and put everything that you have into it, because every point's going to matter come the end of this season.
Absolutely. Keep on digging, guys. Don't get discouraged from maybe one bad week at a restrictor plate track. Invite your friends. There's still slots open to go find a Ghost Xfinity Series. You can find them through Ghost League on Facebook, or look up Ghost Series on Discord and find them that way. As for us and our information, our website has not moved. It's down there in the bottom corner of the screen. But like I said, David and I are going to have a couple projects on the horizon that are coming up that we're excited to tell you about. That we're going to be branching out. We're going to be doing stuff different. It's really exciting. So, but that's not this video. So until we meet again, I cannot wait to talk to you about Ghost Xfinity Series action. And until we do meet again, my name is Zach, and for my partner David, just remember, keep on racing.